Senators Reid and Glenn, thanks for being with us. The space chimps, this topic, in the big scheme of things, the lives of 140 chimps may not be all that high a ranking issue in Washington, considering what else you deal with. But how is it that this issue, Senator Reid first, is on the Washington radar screen at all?
Well, it's on the radar screen because we have the Air Force that has an obligation to take care of these monkeys, these chimpanzees who have been used by the federal government for many years in different ways. And they have contracted this out, and the people that are doing the contracting aren't doing a good job. And the animals have been abused, neglected, and hurt. Some have died. That's what we're concerned about.
Senator Glenn, do you feel a special debt, a personal kind of a debt to the chimpanzees and their
Oh, not personal, no. They were used in some of the experiments, but you know, animals are used in a lot of medical experiments that we all benefit from, and it so happens that some of the forefathers, I guess, of this current colony were used in some of the space days back earlier. But I do feel not a responsibility, but I feel that I went into this back a couple of years ago when some of this stuff came to light, and I think as a result of some of the efforts back then, I think there were some charges against Mr. Colston or the Colston Foundation, and I believe they paid a large fine for a mistreatment back at that time. I was told it was some $40,000. Maybe you have better information. So we have followed it. I'm sorry to see this come up again because I thought we had corrected this. As far as I'm concerned, see, the Air Force contracts, or they have subleased these animals for experiments, but then it's up to them to make sure that the animals are well taken care of. Now, the Department of Agriculture has already gone over and looked at the animals and looked and inspected the facilities, and there are like 18 different charges came out in one of the releases here of what they found of things that were not right. Now, that's all protected by the Animal Welfare Act that we passed here some years ago. And it's very strict in what it says, and I won't go through trying to read all these things here, but there isn't much doubt about them being mistreated. And as far as I'm concerned, and the Department of Agriculture, we understand, and this was we checked on this just a couple hours ago, they have charges against Colston now and are proceeding. We don't know because it's in a formative stage. We don't know exactly what that is going to encompass, but understand their charge is going to be brought, or we hope, I think probably will be. We haven't been told that for sure yet. But so this has been a long-going thing, but as far as I'm concerned, it's up to the Air Force to make sure that their leasee, Mr. Colston, complies strictly with the law, and by the inspection that the Department of Agriculture has made so far, that's not the case.
And also, you know, we're not nitpicking here. As an example, 3 monkeys were cooked to death. They were in a little room. Temperatures got 140, 150 degrees. They were actually cooked to death, alive. And I think that's not nitpicking. I think we have some real problems here. And I think if anybody suggests that they're being well taken care of, they're mistaken.
I know the law as written says the Air Force should dispose of the chimps at no cost to the taxpayer. Do you think that's what's going to happen? Would you support any kind of program? If the government does have a responsibility to these animals, would you support some kind of a program that helps them get into a sanctuary type situation?
My main concern is to see that these animals are treated properly. They're not being properly treated now. The Colson Group has an obligation to the Air Force until the end of next year. So I think we should worry about this year until we worry about, and before we start worrying about the following years.
That's basically my view too. I think this contract runs till the end of '99, as I understand it. And until that time, it's up to the Air Force to make sure that all aspects of the Animal Welfare Act are complied with, and that's not being done now if these reports are correct, and the reports are out of the inspection report that was done by the Department of Agriculture. They're the ones that are responsible for making those inspections.
June 3rd is the deadline, though. Can that be extended? The animal welfare groups that are trying to raise money and take the chimps to a sanctuary say they just don't have enough time. Any interest in extending the deadline beyond June 3rd for the Air Force? Do you know?
I really am not familiar with that program there. I'm concerned about the welfare of these animals. I understand there's been a number of extensions in the past. I know the Air Force has a legal obligation until the end of next year. I don't see that extending the date a little bit would hurt that.
Well, there have been extensions in the past, as I understand it, and whether another extension would help or not, I don't have any idea. But my main concern is that the present person that has the custody of the animal colony has this lease apparently to the end of '99, as Harry said. And that means we have another over a year and a half left to go on this. Now, what's going to happen? Will be any of them left at that time, the way they're being treated? I don't know. I know it's up to the Air Force to get back in there and make sure that if they're not being treated right, the Air Force does something about it. And the Department of Agriculture says that this is a serious matter, that this isn't something that's trivial. They've told us that.
One other question. Has this issue registered with your constituents? Do you get calls about the space chimps?
We've gotten some letters as a result of some activities in recent weeks, but it's nothing that is taking over the letters we get on Bosnia or the balanced budget.
Yeah. That'd be about the same. I haven't received any because we don't have a direct Ohio interest. Most of our mail comes from in-state, of course. And I've received some letters through the years about some of this, and that's the reason we got on it a couple of years ago. But I haven't received much mail recently.
Okay. Thank you both.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
John, thanks so much. Get back to Mark.
Good.